in a single summer. Red Bull lost Christian Her is about to lose Sergio Perez and could soon lose Max Verstappen. At the same time, Toto Wolff is quietly making moves no one saw coming. Starting with a phone call to Mario Andretti about bringing Sergio Perez back to the grid. And this is where the real 2026 story begins. The first bombshell came from journalist Ed Spencer, claiming Perez has already signed with Cadillac with an announcement expected over the summer break. Spencer's source, someone close to Checo's manager, then came subtle signals from trusted insiders. The hint that usually means something real is brewing. But while the headlines focus on Perez, everyone's missing the bigger picture. This isn't about redemption, it's about control. Right now, Toto Wolff's influence touches 5 drivers and spans for different teams. George Russell and Kimi Antonelli at Mercedes. Max Verstappen's still in play after that not-so-secret boat meeting. In Sardinia, very Bottas now being steered toward Alpine, and Mick Schumacher waiting in the wings, possibly slide in Ginto Cadillac. This is more than driver movement. It's strategic infiltration. Take Bass. When asked about discussions with Flavio Briatore, Toto tried to sound attached, just a friend giving advice. He tried to stay in the background, but then contradicted himself in the next brief. I have spoken several times with Flavio on the subject. If Samian recruits him as a race driver, we will let him go. Of course, with a tear in the corner of our eye. That's not background behavior. That's precision placement. And Alpine, they redesperate on the verge of becoming a Mercedes customer in 2026 and a mortgaging credibility. Wolff offers them an experienced driver. Deep life failure with Mercedes engines in return for loyalty and leverage. Now, here's where it gets surgical, with Perez taking one Cadillac seat. Only 2 names remain for the second, Bottas or Schumacher, if this goes to Alpine. Theodore opens for Mick, and even though he stepped away from Mercedes, Toto hasn't forgotten what Mick gave them 2 years of simulator work, including their breakthrough setup that helped deliver Mercedes to double podium in Spain 2023. That matters to Wolff. Cadillus Mario Andretti has been watching Mick for a while, not just as a legacy. Name, beauty's a genuine talent. In Indy racing, Mick's outpacing his team at Tespi half a second in some stints. Andretti has said it before. He wants one veteran, one younger talent. Perez and Mick fit that blueprint perfectly. The sparing wouldn't just fill seats, it rebuilds bridges. Toto once dismissed Calic's entry as a financially ability, helping them now. Supplying a polished, loyal, marketable German driver is his way of making peace. It also extends his reach into yet another garage. Perez isn't just grateful. He's coming back with something to prove. I know that deep down they regret it. I'll be that from a very reliable source. He's not returning to make up their numbers. He's returning to rewrite his legacy. But even the best strategy scary risk. Kim Antonelli, Mercedes prodigy, is struggling. Too many zeros, public frustration, nothings. Working, he admits. Meanwhile, George Russell is striving like a team leader, hunting P2 in the championship while Verstappen rumors swirl around him like smoke. How long before that destabilizes the team from within and batters? He's staying sharp, waiting for the right opening. If you get the call, you want to be ready. The Perez-Schumacher duo could bring balance to Cadillac. Both discarded by former teams, both with something to prove. Unlike Bottas and Perez, 2 former number ones. Less likely to clash. Mick understands team dynamics. Endurance racing taught him that. And has got the discipline, the humility, and the hunger. Toto Wolff, now the most senior figure on the grid, is quietly turning the sport into his own long game. He's not just managing a team, he's engineering a power structure. Cadillac might owe him. Alpine finitely will his own team. Either Russell and Verstappen or Verstappen on Dontelli. 5 drivers for teams on Donny Man pulling the strings. but inches. Even the best player can boom down by their own pieces. What happens when Perez and Mick make Cadilla competitive? Enough to challenge MSTs. What happens if batters with insider engine knowledge turns Alpinito a threat? What happens when George, tired of waiting, walks? Wolff's plan is brilliant, audacious, long range. Beauty even he knows in Formula One, timing is everything. And somewhere in Monaco, he's probably on another call, moving another piece, setting up the next move before the rest of the grid even knows they are already in check. Max Verstappen may have signed with Mercedes or potentially getting her out of the team. Was the only way to stop Max Verstappen from signing with their rivals. Christian Her, the man who transformed bull racing from energy drink marketing experiment into Formula One royalty, was gone. Not retiring, not stepping aside, fired. Adrien Newey, the aerodynamic genius who designed every Bull Championship winning car, had already announced his departure. Jonathan Wheatley, the sporting director who orchestrated their race strategies, was heading to Audi. But here's where it gets really interesting. Red Bull are firing Helmut Marko. Yep. This week, Red Bull are firing someone other than Sergio Perez. Helmut Marko, Red Bull's 81-year-old motorsport advisor and the iron fist behind their driver program, suddenly found himself under a gag order. The man, known for his brutally honest statements and controversial comments, was told by Red Bull's Austrian headquarters to stop talking to the media. Fix this mess or we lose Max. Think about that for a moment. Marko had been with Red Bull since day one. He discovered Vidal nurtured Verstappen and built the most ruthless driver academy in motorsport. Now he was being muzzled like a rookie who'd spoken out of turn. The old guard wasn't just changing, it was being systematically dismantled. Marko tried to put on a brave face about Mickey's appointment, Lorem's varied activities, including later at the FIA and Ferrari, mean they has everything he needs to lead a top team with an expert hand. He said in any of his final public statements. But between the lines, you could sense the uncertainty. This wasn't the Red Bull had helped build. Picture this. Max Verstappen had just clinched his 4th consecutive world championship. Red Bull seemed untouchable, and then boom, everything started crumbling. The official statement was cold, clinical. They thanked her for his tireless and exceptional work, and that was it. No explanation, no farewell tour, nothing. Just emptiness where the TM principal's office used to buzz with activity. The timing couldn't have been more shocking. Here was a team that had dominated Formula One like few others in history. Under her watch, they turned Sebastian Vettel into a 4-time champion between 2010 and 2013, then repeated the magic with Verstappen from 2021 onwards. But beneath the champagne celebrations and victory laps, something dark was brewing. The whispers had started earlier in 2024. Allegations of inappropriate behavior surfaced against her, claims he vehemently denied. An internal investigation cleared him, but damage was done. The shadow of scandal hung over the team like storm clouds before a race. Some say it was the beginning of the end. Others point to October 2022, when Red Bull co-founder Dietrich Mateschitz died, leaving a power vacuum that would eventually swallow her world. Bernie Ecclestone, the former F1 Supra who'd seen it all in his decades-running sport, was stunned. It is as if he had murdered someone, he said, his voice carrying the weight of genuine shock. When Bernie Ecclestone is surprised by Formula One politics, you know something seismic has happened. Into this chaos stepped Laurent Meeses, promoted from Racing Bulls to become Red Bull Racing's new CEO. The Frenchman brought credentials from the FIA and Ferrari, but he was walking into a hurricane. The team wasn't just losing its leader, it was hemorrhaging talent at an alarming rate. Meanwhile, Max Verstappen watched all of this unfold with growing concern. The triple world champion had a contract through 2028, but contracts in Formula One are worth about as much as yesterday's weather forecast when Performance-Clauses kick in. And buried in Verstappen's deal was a crucial detail. If Red Bull fell to fourth in their Constructors' Championship, certain exit options would activate. Guess where Red Bull sat as the chase unfolded? Fourth place, trailing McLaren by a staggering 288 points. Verstappen himself was 69 points behind championship leader Oscar Piastri. That Dutch driver, who'd grown accustomed to winning by massive margins, was suddenly fighting for scraps. Marco, in a moment of candor before his enforced silence, admitted the gravity of the situation. Improvements have to come in the near future so that he has a car with which can win again. He said the Mercedes rumors started almost immediately. George Russell, whose contract was up for renewal, made cryptic comments about how the ongoing situation was influencing his decision. Toto Wolff, Mercedes team principal and master of mind games, simply smiled when asked about Verstappen. In Formula One, silence often speaks louder than denials. The technical challenges facing Red Bull only compounded their problems. The 2026 regulations were looming: new engines, new aerodynamic rules, a complete reset of the competitive order. Red Bull had partnered with Ford for their Power Unit project, but without news designating brilliance, and with a fractured leadership structure, how could they possibly maintain their edge? This wasn't just about losing races. This was about watching an empire crumble in real time. Sponsorship deals worth hundreds of millions hung in the balance. The team's valuation, once soaring on the back of the dominance, faced potential freefall. In the cutthroat world of Formula One, where success is measured in tens of seconds and millions of dollars, Red Bull was hemorrhaging both time and money. The human cost W.